Okay, so once I have my drawing ready to go and I've sort of like traced it onto here, I can start removing some ground with my scribe. So this is like a pretty gentle process. I'm like barely touching the plate because my scribe is like pretty sharp. It's just removing it, and I can get these like very, very fine lines. Which are really nice for the hair. I don't know if you can really see what's going on. I also have kind of shaky hands. So for the hair, I'm like doing these little like hairlines. I can get some texture here. And then I can get some like heavier lines if I wanted to with the eyebrows. And then I could go in the eyes and make a bit of a heavier line. And then you can, of course, do stuff like a little bit of cross-hatching. So if I wanted to do a little bit down here to add some shading into this backpack strap, I could do my lines here, and then I could just do some slight cross-hatching in here. But I don't want to add too much because ideally I'm going to add most of the tone in the aquatint layers. So I'm mostly going to do some outlining, and then I'm just going to kind of decide which lines I want to be heavier and which I want to be like finer. The thinner they are, the more like wispier they're going to look in the print, and they're not going to hold as much ink. Of course, you do want to be careful not to do super heavy lines or super thick heavy lines, because then we might have that open bite happen where it's so thick that you put the ink in, but then most of it comes out while you're wiping, and then you get this gray instead of like a deep black. But yeah, there's room for a variation on lines, so you guys can just sort of play with that in your line etching. It's sort of hard to get a handle on your first go around, and this ground is like very kind of soft, which makes it really easy to remove. So you shouldn't feel any resistance from the plate itself. It's not like the plexi that we did. It really is this kind of like slick surface that we're just removing the ground from to reveal the copper. And that's what's gonna, whatever you take away is what's gonna be exposed to the acid when we dip it in the acid bath, and it's gonna eat the plate. So instead of us using force, the acid is kind of doing the work for us, and then whatever gets etched, so wherever spaces you remove the ground the acid is gonna eat, and that's gonna be where the ink gets pushed into when we ink the plate, and that's what's gonna make up your image. Okay, so maybe I'll take the phone so you can see a little bit of a close-up. So it's gonna remove these little like burrs of ground. Yeah, my lines look kind of crappy because I have shaky hands, but you will probably do fine. I'm obviously gonna clean this up before I finish it, but that's sort of like a quick and dirty, like how to sort of do it, which I just wanted to give you guys since you didn't see me do it in prison.